insider Shams Charania is with us now. Shams, what's the latest on Stephen Curry?
Christine, sources tell me that Stephen Curry underwent an MRI this morning, and he has been diagnosed with a grade 1 left hamstring strain. The Warriors expect him to miss at least 1 week, and this is the first muscle strain of Stephen Curry's NBA career. He's missed 245 games over the course of his career, but this is the first time he's missing it with a hamstring injury. Hamstrings are very tricky. You have to be careful. And all this is positive news for the Warriors and Stephen Curry because it could have been a grade 2 or grade 3 strain. But he is out for game 2. He's going to be out at least 1 week with a grade 1 left hamstring strain.
Okay, so if he's out for game 2, there's a possibility if he's out for a week that he's out for game 3 and possibly game 4. But what might this mean for the Warriors and the rest of the postseason?
It's all about Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy, as well as Draymond Green. They have Buddy Hield playing a much more significant role as a scorer as well. But it's going to be all hands on deck. They could have lost Stephen Curry for a much more significant period of time in these playoffs if this MRI came back and it showed a worse strain of that hamstring. But thankfully, just a grade 1. So they're hopeful. And one stat that I can say, between games 1 last night and game 6 potentially, there's 12 days. So if he's going to be out over 7-10 days, you're hopeful if you're the Warriors that he can make it back by the end of the series.
All right, Shams Charania with the latest. Stephen Curry out for at least 1 week with that grade 1 hamstring strain. Shams, thank you.
Night at TD Garden, Celtics taking on the Knicks. Boston looking to bounce back after falling short in OT to the Knicks in game 1. The Celtics missed 45 of 63s, and New York took advantage by cutting a 20-point deficit to get back in the game and steal one on the road, 108-105. Mikal Bridges played 51 minutes and stole the ball on the final play. NBA reporter Brian Windhorst and basketball analyst Andrea Carter with us right now. Wendy, I'll start with you. What can you tell us about potential adjustments to Boston's game plan after missing 45 from deep in game 1?
I have a complex list of adjustments that Joe Mazzulla and the Celtics are prepared to make, and I will list them now. That concludes the list of adjustments that they plan to make. This is who the Celtics are. I think they were a little bit tentative after the game, thinking that maybe they could have shot a couple of fewer threes. But after watching the film, Joe Mazzulla was right back to his defiant self yesterday, saying they just needed to make them. Now, what I do think you will see more of in this game is in the event that Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown get into isolation situations against Jalen Brunson or against some of the Knicks big men, you might see some more attacking. But in terms of their approach, they're going to shoot threes. They got here shooting threes. If they go out, it'll be shooting threes.
And that sounds just about right when you talk about Joe Mazzulla. But Drea, when you talk about Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown going into game 2, what kind of tone do they need to set tonight?
It's exactly what Brian just said in terms of attacking mismatches. I mean, when you talk about Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they are excellent players. They are elite athletes. They have so much speed. They play with so much power. If those two guys set the tone of being in attack mode and taking advantages of mismatches, the Celtics will be even better for it. I know this is a championship winning team, but playing in attack mode, playing with that edge, it's not about finishing in the paint. It's just about getting to the paint. Good things happen when the ball touches the paint. They can still spray out and get those threes and kick out for threes. That's fine. But taking advantage of mismatches, putting the defense on their heels, that'll give this Celtics team even more of an edge offensively. They have to play in attack mode.
Yeah, and Jaylen Brown known as a tone setter for that Celtics team as well. Wendy, Kristaps Porzingis missed the second half of game 1 with an illness. Listed as probable for tonight. What's his status for game 2?
Now, this is a true X factor. Now, you may recall that Kristaps Porzingis missed about 2 or 3 weeks in late February and early March with what was basically an upper respiratory infection that they couldn't really identify. And that's as unsettling as you can imagine. And trust me, they went to a lot of specialists to try to do it. He recovered from that after being out for that period of time and played pretty well. But he is still dealing with the effects of that, said Joe Mazzulla yesterday, and really he's been fighting it off recently again. And when he got to the second half of game 1 on Monday, he just couldn't go on. Now, he was feeling better yesterday. He is expected to play tonight, but This kind of explains why his production has plummeted in the postseason. He's only shooting 32% overall in the 6 games or 5 games he's played, 6 games he's played, and he's only 2 of 17 on threes, which you know is such an important part of stretching the opposition's defense. So what sort of wind and energy he's got, because he described fatigue as the biggest challenge in this, is going to be very important to watch in the early going if he's able to go tonight.
Yeah, Kristaps Porzingis is a huge X factor for that Celtics team. Wendy, thanks so much. Andrea, more from you in just a bit.
The Knicks started slow in game 1 on both offense and defense. They shot just 37% from 3 for the first 30 minutes of the game when they eventually trailed by 20. From then on, they shot 55% from 3. Jalen Brunson and OG Anunoby shot a combined 8 for 12 from 3 in that span. Let's bring in NBA reporter Chris Herring into the conversation. Okay, Chris, the Knicks, they needed a 20-point second half comeback in game 1. How are they hoping to get off to a better start in this next game?
They want to bring the physicality, but they don't want to start quite as physically as they did last game, just in light of all the flurry of fouls that they had called on them right at the start. Josh Hart was very clear in saying, we got beat up with bats for 6 games in our last series, so we brought the bats here, not realizing that the whistles were going to be the way that they were. And if you look at it, they were in constant foul trouble. Karl-Anthony Towns had, I think, 3 fouls in that first quarter, had 4 in the first half. And because of that, it was just kind of a mess. He was out. Mitchell Robinson was out because of the hack-a-Mitch strategy that they used. So they got out-rebounded badly by 10 on the glass, 24-second chance points for the Celtics. So they want to be physical, but they don't want to overdo it. And I think that that would put them in much less of a hole than what they had in the first half.
Dre, we just heard Chris. He just said that what Cat did in the first quarter and in the first half was kind of a mess. What do you expect to see from Cat in game 2?
Well, listen, the best ability is availability. So Karl-Anthony Towns staying out of foul trouble to be on the floor, because as much as we talk about the mismatches that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown can take advantage of, Karl-Anthony Towns is a mismatch himself as well. So him being on the floor, staying out of foul trouble, that's huge. We have seen Karl-Anthony Towns bounce back. Game 2 in the Detroit series, he had 10 points. Game 3, he had 31 points. And we have seen him have a big performance against the Celtics already this season. In his matchup in April against the Celtics, he had a 30-piece on over 60% from the field. So I expect Karl-Anthony Towns to bounce back. My favorite Karl-Anthony Towns play from the last game against the Celtics was in the fourth quarter. OG Anunoby gets the steal to tie the game. He takes it for the dunk, but Karl-Anthony Towns was moving his feet. Go back and watch that play. I know OG gets a lot of credit for the steal, but watch Cat move his feet on the defensive end. That play, that defensive energy there from Cat, being offensively locked in and staying on the floor. That's what I expect.
All right, we'll see if he does more of that tonight. Game 7 at 7 p. or Game 7, Game 2 at 7 p.m. Chris, thank you, Dre. We'll see you shortly.
Still ahead, there's another game 2 tonight, and OKC is in a bit of a bind. We'll head there live for the latest on how they plan to change the outcome tonight. The Warriors, now the Warriors, how they handle a possible game